Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Google Web Designer intro. This is module 2. So big hello to everybody, and thank you for watching this video. Just a quick intro of who the people who will be running the sessions. My name is Artwell. I am the creative lead for Google, and Marcel will also be helping me, who is the GMP lead. The modules are divided up into 6 parts, so we strongly encourage you to try and watch from module 1 through to module 6. But I'll quickly give you an overview of what each of the modules will cover. So module 1 will be is an intro to DV360. Marcel jumps into creative templates, the creative canvas, and all the different features that you get in DV360. Today, we then look at Google Web Designer. We look at the intro. We look at what kind of how the tool is used, why is it important, and the user interface. Not tomorrow, in the next session in module 3, we then look at components, how to use them and why they're important. Then we jump into module 4, which is looking at how to build responsive ads in Google Web Designer. Module 5, how to execute data-driven creative. This is where me and Marcel do some role playing. I play the part of a creative agency, he plays media, and we sort of play the whole process from beginning to end as to how the data-driven creative process should generally run. Then we jump into module 6, and here it's how to build a display banner that has microsite features. So basically, you can click into one page, which leads into another page, which leads into another page. So how to basically create super engaging display assets. The last block is for any feedback that we get, for anything that we may have missed regarding data-driven creative that you want us to cover. And that's the block we'll fill as we get more feedback. Let's jump into today's session. So we're going to look at 4 parts. The first is an intro into the actual platform. Then we'll take a look and deep dive into the actual tool itself. So I'll just show you the interface quickly. And then we'll look at where Google Web Designer fits in the greater scheme of data-driven creative. And then from there, we'll look at one example of a really good Google Web Designer banner. So we're going to jump into Google Web Designer and the intro. So what is Google Web Designer? Google Web Designer is a free tool that you can download off the internet. You just simply have to Google Web Designer, go and jump into the platform and download the platform. And what it does is it allows you to create HTML5 banners in a very easy way, right? So you don't have to have coding skill whatsoever. Everything is drag and drop. So you just drag and drop the components that you want to go add onto your banner. So for example, if you want to add a carousel onto your banner or a sliding gallery of some sort, you just drag and drop the component into your banner and you'll have a banner. So basically it's pre-made HTML5 code, right? The beauty of this is that because the platform itself is so flexible, you're also able to create games, you're also able to create websites. So it's a really useful tool, which is basically for free. So a brief history of the actual tool itself. So the original version launched in 2013. The team started building the actual tool itself in 2010. It was originally called Google Ninja, which I think is an epic name. The tool got out of beta in 2017, so you can see how much time they spent on really refining the tool. And then major releases since then have been released every quarter, and every quarter they'll release new components, bug fixes, and the likes. And since then, there's been millions and millions of downloads and billions of impressions generated from the ads that have been created from Google Web Designer. So it's a really powerful tool which has been created has been around for quite a while, but since 2017 has become a major tool for building strong HTML5 assets. So what are the top features? One, you have full control of authoring. So, you can create interactive assets, animated assets, dynamic, responsive, and rich media. It's the top authoring tool for all of our Google products, so it really integrates well. You're able to start from scratch with your creative assets, or you can select from hundreds of templates. And those templates themselves you can change them so much that it doesn't look like a template anymore. So you don't have to fear that you're going to have assets that look like other people's assets. And now more than more, it's super deeply integrated with the likes of DV360 and Studio. So it's a super powerful tool in the sense that it's really interacts and engages with all of our other platforms. So Google Web Design allows you to create HTML5 assets, dynamic ready assets, responsive assets, and templated assets. When it comes to the data-driven process, these are all four powerful things that you can start to utilize. So what does that mean for me and you? One, you can build faster. You can build rich ads faster. What that means is that you're saving money. You can add simple and advanced animations, again, in an easier way, which then equals to saving money because you're not spending a large amount of time creating. What this also means is that you've got more time working on concepts and less time working on building. Easy to add interactivity, so you're able to add interactivity super simply. Drag and drop components, which make for very quick building processes. You've got built-in validation. So basically what Google Web Designer does is that as you're building, it is constantly telling you whether or not your ad is becoming too big or a video asset won't work. So it's constantly telling you what the health of your asset is. It's built for both designers and developers. So, designers can use the drag and drop functionality, whereas the developers who are more code inclined, they can jump into the code view and build directly from there. You're able to build responsive fairly easy, which will jump in the next coming modules. And the last but not least is that it's built for helping you create data-driven creative easily. So I've mentioned quite a couple of times the words data-driven creativity, and I think it's super important to highlight what is data-driven creative before we go into all the rest of the stuff. So basically, what you want to do with data-driven creative is you want to leave this world here where we create one message for the masses, and you want to find yourself in a world where you're creating relevant assets for individuals. So sending the right message to the right person at the right time. And there are three ways that you can do this, right? You can do it via dynamic creative, decisioning, or storytelling. I'm going to jump into each one of these pillars and show a couple of examples for each one of those. And then from there, go to the next one. So dynamic creative, so changing creative elements in real time to deliver the most relevant ad. Let's look at a couple of examples. So the one is changing the title using Signal, using the Signal day and hour. So if you are, let's say you're working with a food item, you could save a specific message for breakfast, for lunch, and then for dinner. And same goes with the days of the week. You could have something that's for Friday that's highlighting that the weekend is kicking in. So that's using day or hour as a signal. There's also changing images according to remarketing signals. So if I go into a e-commerce site and I look at watches, the next banner ad that I might see will show me a variety of watches because we now know that you are interested in purchasing a watch. And then changing call to actions according to geolocation. So if I am in Joburg, I might see a banner ad with red t-shirt versus if I'm in Cape Town, I might see banner ads that show me blue t-shirts. And this is probably based on data that blue t-shirts sell more in Cape Town versus red shirts that sell more in Joburg. A good example is this display asset where they used weather signals. And what they did was when it was raining in the area that you are, they showed you assets, a banner ad that showed that had a person wearing clothes that were suitable for rain. Same goes for snow. You saw clothes that were suitable for snow. And same goes with sunny day. You saw suitable clothes for sunny days. The next bit is based on, it's called decisioning. So choose the most engaging ad for the audience and their stage in the journey. So Netflix does it quite well. So targeting users by geo and language. So what they'll do is they'll select their audiences, movie lovers, action adventure movie fans, and fashion forward people. And then from there, they'll create one banner asset and they'll just change out a few things. So what you'll notice in the movie lovers one, they'll change out the text to speak to movie lovers and one visual in the middle, and then show the call to action final frame. They'll use the same asset for action adventure lovers, but change out the text and the image here. Same goes for fashion forward, change out the text, change out the middle visual or video, and then with the closing text. Then they take it a step further. So if you are in Germany, they'll change the language to German, versus in England it'll be in English, in South Africa it'll be in English. So they can create hundreds and hundreds of this one version of banner asset, but target different people who have different interests, who speak different languages. We've got storytelling, so the ability to tell a sequential, telling sequential stories via display. So a good example would be, so the first asset that you would see, a good example of a story being told, first asset would be, let's say, a video, and then you want to drive consideration, you would show an asset which has more of convincing messaging within it. And then action, some more direct call to action, buy now. And then the loyalty bit where you would either highlight other products that support the product that they've purchased now, or you just want to just continue conversations post purchase. What's nice about this is that you can also be dynamic about how you approach this. Just like I showed you earlier on, different messages for different locations, different products for different interests, and the likes. And this could be quite interesting, and it can also be quite complicated. So it really requires quite a fair amount of planning. So without Google Web Designer, it's hard to do this. It's not impossible. It's just hard and time consuming to do. Google Web Designer allows you to create for what I've mentioned at a very quick scale, right? So I think the best way to show this is to jump into Google Web Designer and show you a couple of the features. So I'm going to quickly jump out of my presentation and jump into Google Web Designer. So once you've downloaded Google Web Designer, you'll see that it looks not too far off from the Adobe products. And when I jump into the actual tool, and I'll show you some of the features. So you can jump into the templates. As you can see, there are quite a lot of templates that you can use. So there's Swirl, which is a new template, which allows you to insert 3D items in there and make your 3D items quite engaging. It's a super exciting tool. You can jump into parallax templates here, different types of banner ads that you can create. You can even click into here. And what you'll see is that you can even already start looking at responsive ads. I'm not going to go into all of them, but they're quite a lot. And you've got Lightbox, you've got interstitial, you've got expandable. So you could work pretty much here and quite successfully and create very unique pieces. You can also create your own templates and save them here. So especially if you're very CI focused, you can create your templates here just to make sure that you always keep the logo in the top left at a specific ratio size and all that kind of stuff. So this is a great tool. And then you're also able to use beta templates. These beta templates will come out every quarter whenever we get new assets that are new tools and assets that are launched. And then let's jump into the actual tool. So as you can see, when you create a new file, creating a new file is simple as titling it, selecting where you place it. That you can select the dimensions. The standard dimensions are here, but you can create customized here. And then if you're creating a responsive asset, you would click onto here, but we're not going to be creating one. Then you can select the types of assets you want to create. So, so you can do AMP, HTML banner, expandable, interstitial. And then you can also select how you will be building. So let me click OK. So for those of you who are creatives, you'll notice that it's not too far off from the setup of Photoshop, and you can really structure how you want the window to look just by dragging where you want the assets to sit. But it's been kept similar purely because we want the process to be easy to start jumping into the tool. If it looks too different, it gets a bit complicated. So as you can see, on the side here, we've got our arrows, buttons, we've got our tools, the typical stuff that we generally see with a couple of new things. Our top banner also very much standard, except for a couple of new things, but it's the landmark tools that we use a lot. What's new to the tool is this here. So these are components. Components allow you to just drag and drop whatever it is that you want to use on the tool. So I'll quickly drag and drop one component. So let's say I want a swipeable gallery. I could just drag and drop the swipeable gallery, decide how big I want that swipeable gallery to be. So let's say I want it to be the full page, like so. And now I have my swipeable gallery. Now I need to control the properties of that swipeable gallery. So there's a properties tab, which is the system to the components tab. And what it allows you to do is control the properties of whatever component you selected. So here I need to add images to my components. So I click on to choose images, and then we go into my desktop, and then click on carousel, and I want to add some cars images. I click open. I click OK. So as you can see, it's already installed the first image. Now, the nice thing about the tool is that it makes previewing actually quite easy. So you can just click onto preview. You can select where you want to preview, Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. So you can test if there's any errors. And what you'll notice is that it automatically opens a page, and I can just already start using my carousel by swiping left and right. This would generally take you a long time because you would have to code it, and it's you'd need a specific skill. The components make this very, very easy. I'm going to go into in my next session. I'm going to jump into each one of the components that you can use and how to use them. But this is just giving an idea as to how to play around with this. I'm going to go back into the preview tab that I jumped on. What we've done here is we've made the process of sharing also quite easy. So you can click onto here, and when you click onto here, you'll get a shareable link. Wants me to sign in, but once you signed into your Chrome, into your Google account, you click onto here, you get a shareable link which you can share with your team, your boss, or your clients. What we also have is a nice way of getting people to be able to share their display assets with their clients or their teams via the mobile devices, because the reality is a lot of people are going to look at the assets on mobile devices. So you can click onto here, and what you would need to do is get your client or the person you're sending the assets to download an app called Creative Preview. It's a Google app. And when people click onto here, it automatically sends the assets to the app, and they can then view the asset on there. So this one here is if they want to look at their mobile device. This one here is if you want to look on your desktop, even on your mobile device if you like, but this is better for mobile device. So the tool really makes it easy for you to share your assets, and mid-working, people can see where you are with your working process. Other thing I'd like to show you is that if you want, you can also work in code view. You just need to click onto code view, and you can really dig deep and go and code as much as you want and do as many changes as you like. And then to go back, you click onto the design view. If you want to publish your assets, you can either publish them locally, and that will create a zip file that lands directly on your desktop. You can also save directly to a Google Drive, which is shared by your whole team. This is obviously safe for obvious reasons, is that if the laptop gets lost, you can still access it in one place. And it also means that everybody can access the files and make changes onto the assets. You can also upload into Studio, which we don't really focus much a lot of, but you can upload directly into Studio. And then you can also directly upload into DV360. which is also great. So once you've finished, you can send it directly there, and your media agency or whoever's in charge of setting up the dynamic rules and the likes can see it directly on the spot. So that's Google Web Designer in a nutshell. So if you click onto Windows, you get to you can open up a whole lot of other features. So you can change the way that your workspace looks, very similar to Photoshop, but you can also customize how you want your desktop to look. You can add and hide panels. You've got your text panel similar to other tools where you can control your text. Same goes with color. There's also an additional one here where you can adjust your CSS directly from a panel. So you just click onto here. We've also got our timeline and events. We've got our library. So timeline, as you will remember, is similar to Photoshop, where you can start to add your animations. You can decide the different types of timelines that you want to use. And then, you've got your responsive panel, which I've got here. And then you also have your ad validator. This is quite nice because what it does is that, as mentioned early on, is that it allows you to keep an eye out on whether your banner will work within DV360. So if when you add a video, it will say the video is good, it will work for DV360. If you add a picture, it will say the picture size is great, it will add in DV360. So it's constantly telling you whether your asset will work or not. So that's Google Web Designer in a very high level nutshell. Let me go back to my presentation. So just a quick recap of what I looked at. So, it's divided into 5 parts. We've got our toolbar, which sits on the side here. We've got this bar here, which allows you to control your alignments and the likes. We've got our components. You can adjust as you want, but you've got your components, your properties, your CSS, your validators, your color tabs, all added on the side here. We've got your timeline here for all your animations that you want to play around with. At the top here, this is where you have all your elements for previewing, for working in code view, working in design view. So it's really divided into 5 parts that you can start to play around with. As mentioned earlier on, at the core of all of this is components, where you can just drag and drop the features that you want to use. And then from there, jump into properties and adjust those components as needed. And then the ad validators, like I mentioned earlier on, as you can see here, you get blue ticks on file size. Is the HTML5 formatted properly? Is the video size working properly? Is it suitable for DV360? It's a really great tool that allows you to check where you are sitting when you're building on Google Web Designer. What's nice about it also is about Google Web Designer is that also when you publish your asset, right at the end, there's one more validation check that tells you that you're good to go or not good to go. So you should never find yourself in a situation where you upload into DV360 and you get errors. And then the one other thing that is super important is the wide variety of templates that you have access to. You can really play around there. It's a great place to learn is within those templates. Playing around with making it interstitial, making responsive, and the likes. Great for people who are just starting, but also great for creating your own templates should you want to go forward by having CI-specific templates. So where does Google Web Designer fit in the whole scheme of things? So we're going to go into this process in a much more detail in module 5, where we look at the data-driven creative process. But this is just a quick recap for this session. So the client will create the brief, sets it up, right? Once they've got the brief, then they jump into looking at the insights, finding the insights and all the nuggets that will help drive the creative development process. From there onwards, both the brief and the insights are then fed into the creative team. The creative team then looks at that and starts to create a design structure, which I'll jump into more detail in Module 5, as to what is going to be changeable and what is not going to be interchangeable. So the example I gave earlier on, I if I look at a display banner in Joburg, I might see red T-shirts. In Cape Town, I'll see blue T-shirts. So on that banner, I know that the changeable part of the banner is the red and the blue T-shirts, right? So I plan that up front. Then I go into production, and that's where Google Web Designer kicks in. So I build having planned, knowing that my changeable bit of my banner is the T-shirts. Might be the call to action, it might be the background, but for this one, it's just the T-shirts. Once that's done, I publish locally, and then I send to the media team, or it could be the people in the creative agency who then put it into DV360, and then they serve as they see. And then 6 is the last bit, where we measure and we learn and optimize for future projects. Another way of looking at it also is, Google Web Designer is, great for creating templates. You can create custom creative. You can also create dynamic creative. You can then take that creative and then upload into either Campaign Manager, DV360, or Google Ads. And then you can serve into Campaign Manager or DV360, and then post that you can get your reports from Campaign Manager and DV360. So it's just a nice way of seeing how it flows all together in a linear way. And then last but not least, I'm going to quickly jump into an example which was created in Google Web Designer. It's a really cool example. So this is multiple components used to create one asset. If you want to see more examples, please jump into richmediagallery.com. If you want to know the domain, it's written up here. So basically what happens is that when you scroll over the banner, you already see that there's some things that you can click. This is for Minority Report. As you know, there's an action that they have in Minority Report where they drag components into these transparent screens, and you can do the same thing with the banner. So you can then drag into here, and a video plays out. So I can select another character, drag into here, another video plays out. And then once you've played around it, you can then click here and watch the full trailer. This is definitely the kind of banner ad that would grab attention, super engaging and the likes. And this is the kind of stuff that we're trying to get people to build on Google Web Designer. But we do encourage that you start obviously at the simple places before you get into super interactive stuff. And then when we talk about data-driven creative, what they could have done here is maybe in specific region, this middle character could be somebody else, because maybe there's a stronger appeal in another region. Call to action can be changed out. The tonight can be changed out. Text can be changed out, and you can really get data-driven while still retaining the interactive elements of the actual display asset. And that is the end of the session. Look out for the next session, which is Module 3, which we'll be uploading in the coming days. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic day.